Hello guys, welcome to Job Studies Met Fun. Today we're going to start with dermatology. My name is Dr. Simran and I'm going to help you with your dermatology. Let me just start with a very basic thing. I want to clear one thing for all of you, that we FMGs tend to do a lot. We tend to neglect the minor subjects. Okay, so let me just clear one thing, that see, major subjects, they're way too vast. Okay, I mean questions can come from anywhere, but the minor subjects, they have very few topics, right? And meaning if you really master your minor subjects, your 4-5 marks are not going anywhere. Okay, so this is our agenda at Job Studies Met Fun, to focus at the main points that is required for FMG, not to teach you anything unnecessary, and help you guys understand each and everything. Here at dermatology, I have tried simplifying as much as I can. Okay, and also what we're going to do is, we're not going to ratta anything, we're not going to mug up anything. We're going to understand the meaning of every word, right? So that we don't have to really sit and mug it up. That is the main issue with dermatology, right? Because of their really fancy names and everything else, right? So let us start with our dermatology, guys. So let us start with our basics in dermatology, since our basics should always be clear. So see, our skin. Okay, so we need to know that how much weight does our skin carry, right? Our skin will carry about 4 to 5 kgs. Okay, our skin has 4 to 5 kgs. Okay, how much area does it cover? Our skin will carry 1.7 meters square of area. How much? 1.7 meters square of area. Okay, now our skin is divided into 3 parts, that is your epidermis, your dermis, and your hypodermis. Okay, let us start with our epidermis. In our epidermis, we have 5 layers. Okay, the first layer is called as a stratum corneum, your stratum corneum. Then second is your stratum lucidum, your stratum lucidum. Third is going to be a stratum granulosum, and fourth is going to be a stratum spinosum, and fifth is going to be a stratum basale. Okay, so these are your 5 layers of your epidermis. What comes under your dermis is your papillary dermis and your reticular dermis, and in your hypodermis, this is one that is subcutaneous fat. Okay, let us now look more in detail into the layers of your epidermis. Let us start with the first layer, that is your stratum corneum. So guys, since this is the first layer, so technically with logic, it's supposed to be fully keratinized. So what is it? It is going to be fully keratinized. Okay, it is going to be fully keratinized. Next, what you need to know is that these layers, they will not have any nucleus. Guys, remember this point. I will tell you later why, but keep in mind that stratum corneum does not have any nucleus, and these they are going to have flat cells. Okay, your stratum corneum will have flat cells. Okay, so now let us understand what are the different pathological terms that are associated with our first layer, that is your stratum corneum. Okay, the first layer, now let us understand. Okay, now since I already told you that there is no nucleus in our stratum corneum, so if there is a retention of the nucleus, that will be called as parakeratosis. Okay, remember, parakeratosis is the retention of the nucleus in your first layer, that is the stratum corneum. Next, if there is a thickening of your stratum corneum, that will be called as hyperkeratosis. Obviously, hyper means too much, right? So thickening का मतलब क्या हो जाएगा? Hyperkeratosis. So these are the 2 terms that are related with the first layer. Now let us move to your second layer, that is your stratum lucidum. The only thing you have to remember over here is that stratum lucidum is only and only present in your palms and your soles. Where is it present? Your palms and your soles. So let us write this down also. It is present in your palms and soles. So this was the second layer. Next, let us move on to your stratum granulosum. Granulosum ka matlab kya? It means granules. Okay, granulosum means granules. So we have 2 granules in your stratum granulosum. One is your keratohyalin granule, and second is going to be your lamellar granule. Okay, let us first look into your keratohyalin granule. What is there? See, there is this protein. So what is this? This is a protein that is called as your profilagrin. Okay, this will give rise to your filigrin. And what is filigrin? It is a filament aggregation protein. What is it? It is a filament aggregation protein. Okay, now see, with your this keratohyalin granules, there are 2 diseases that are associated. Ek to is our atopic dermatitis. Okay guys, this is basic, so I'm going to tell you in details later on in the further videos. For now, just remember this. Okay, atopic dermatitis, and next will be your ichthyosis vulgaris. Okay, Ichthyosis vulgaris. Now see, what does ichthyosis mean? Ichthyosis means, very good, it means fish like scales. Okay, fish like scales. Okay, and you're going to hear a lot of vulgaris. Vulgaris means most common. Okay, most common form is going to be your vulgaris. Understand what does vulgaris mean? Means most common. Okay, next are your lamellar granules. Okay, in lamellar granules, what we need to know is that, see, so since we're already done with keratohyalin granules, now next is going to be lamellar granules. Lamellar granules, guys, you remember L for lamellar, L for lipid. Okay, so that is why your lamellar granules are also called as, aka also known as Oland bodies. Okay, they're also called as Oland bodies or cementosomes, or what? Cementosomes. Now guys, see, I've already mentioned cementosomes. What is the use of the cement when we're constructing our house? For barrier, right? So what does these lamellar granules do? They will help in maintaining the barrier of the skin. They help in maintaining the barrier of the skin. Okay, they'll help in maintaining the barrier of the skin. Okay, next let us move on to the fourth layer, that is your stratum spinosum. Stratum, guys, what does stratum mean? Right, you're hearing stratum meaning layers. Okay, so what does stratum mean? Let us write over here. Okay, stratum means layers. Okay, so we are talking about all the layers, right? So let us move on to stratum spinosum. Okay, in stratum spinosum, what you need to know now, see, spinosum is there. So what does it mean? There will be something that is spine like. So what you need to know over here is prominent. There is going to be prominent spine like projections. Okay, prominent spine like projections are going to be present in this layer of your skin. Okay, now one more very important thing that I want to explain here, that is the word desmosomes. What does desmosomes mean? You're going to hear a lot of it. Okay, desmosomes. Desmosomes, basically we have our keratinocytes. So desmosomes, what does desmosome do? They help in making the connection between two keratinocytes. Desmosomes help in connecting. Okay, so your desmosomes will help in, it connects two keratinocytes. Okay, it connects your cells basically. Okay, that is the work of your desmosomes. Now see, so let me add one more term here, that is your acantha. What does acantha mean? Acantha means spine. Okay, acantha means spine. So now we know what acantha means. So let us solve this very basic things. Okay, so if there is a thickening of the layer of your stratum spinosum, what is it called as? It will be called as acanthosis. Very good, it will be called as acanthosis. Okay, now if there is a loss of spine lysis, so acantholysis. Okay, very good. Now let us move to edema. Okay, if there will be edema in this layer in your stratum spinosum, okay, if there is intra, so guys, let us understand what is intra and inter. Intra means within, okay, and inter means between. Intra means within and inter means between. Okay, so intracellular edema, this will have ballooning degeneration. Where is this seen? This is seen in HSV. Let us solve one more PYQ here. Is HSV an RNA or DNA? Guys, remember, HSV is a DNA virus. Okay, since we already know viruses are mostly RNA, right? This is an exception. Okay, this is a PYQ. Remember, HSV is DNA. Okay, next, what is intercellular edema? It is called as spongiosis. It is called as spongiosis. Okay, and where is it seen? It is seen in acute eczema. Acute eczema. Okay, acute eczema. Now let us move to the last layer, that is called as your stratum basale. So guys, let us recap. What did we study in the first layer? In the stratum corneum, they were fully keratinized, they were flat cells, and one more very peculiar point, there was no nucleus present. Now guys, in your stratum basale, what you will see? You will see that these are going to be columnar. These are going to be columnar. Okay, and most of all, very important, there are going to be presence of nucleus, and conside it will be central nucleus. Okay, so these are going to be columnar, these are going, they're going to have central nucleus, and it is going to be a single layer. It is going to be a single layer. So these are the three features that we need to know stratum basale. Now why am I explaining you all this? Why did I recap stratum corneum? Is for this, so that we will know what are the changes that occurs from when you are going from your stratum basale to your stratum corneum. Okay, so let us see. Now we already now revised, right? Stratum basale, these are going to be columnar. है ना, these are going to be columnar. Stratum corneum, they're going to be flat cells. They're going to be flat cells, right? Stratum basale, did they have a nucleus? Yes, they had a nucleus. It's going to be a central nucleus. It's going to be a central nucleus. Whereas in your stratum corneum, there's not going to be any nucleus. And if nucleus is present, what is that called as? Parakeratosis, right? Okay, so now let us solve these few questions. Now what are the changes? The question is, what are the changes that occurs when we go from stratum basale to stratum corneum? The very first change that will occur is the shape of cells. The shape of cells, they will flatten. Very good, they will flatten. Is nucleus present or absent in your stratum corneum? Very good, it is absent. It is absent, right? Keratin, what has happened to the keratin? It increases, right? We know that the first layer, it has a lot of keratin. Next, water, there will be dehydration. As you go from your stratum basale to your stratum corneum, there will be dehydration. Now, epidermal transit time. What is epidermal transit time? It is a time taken from your stratum basale to convert into your stratum corneum. And what is the normal epidermal transit time? That is going to be your 4 weeks. Why do I need to know this? Because in our further, as we discuss, in psoriasis, your epidermal transit time decreases, like it goes to just 3 days. Psoriasis may there will be hyperkeratosis. So what is our normal epidermal transit time? That is 4 weeks, 28 days, right? But what happens in psoriasis? It will become 3 days, hyperkeratosis. Okay, so we had to keep coordinating everything. Okay, so now in our stratum basale, there are these things called as rete and dermal papilla. What is rete regis? Rete regis are going to be the depression. Okay, the rete regis are going to be the depression. What is a dermal papilla? It is going to be your these hill like. Okay, these are called as your dermal papilla. The depressions are called as your rete regis. Okay. Now, let us move on to the cells of your epidermis. Okay, see, we already know that your epidermis is mostly, they have keratinocyte. Your epidermis has mostly keratinocyte. 90% of your epidermis is made of your what? Keratinocyte. Okay, 90%. This is important. Okay. Now, let us look at what are the non-keratinocytes that are present in our epidermis. Let us first start with our Langerhans cells. Langerhans cells. Okay, let us move into a little pathology as well. See, there are these things called as Langerhans cells, right? You might have heard Langerhans giant cells, right? Langerhans giant cells. Where do you see this? You see this in the granuloma of your tuberculosis, in TB. Okay, this is Langerhans. Remember guys, Langerhans, and this is Langer. Okay, R is coming here. This is Langerhans cells which are present in the epidermis, non-keratinocyte, and Langerhans cells which we see in pathology. These are present. These are the granuloma of your tuberculosis. Okay, don't get confused, guys. Okay, remember this. Remember this point. Okay, it's a PYQ. Next, so let us know more about our Langerhans cells. Okay, so what we can know is our location. What is the location? It is present at your stratum spinosum. What is the function? It acts as an antigen presenting cell. Okay, your Langerhans cells act as an antigen presenting cells. Now, what is the content? They have these granules called as Birbeck granules. Okay, now on electron microscopy, if I see these Birbeck granules, I will get this very peculiar tennis racket appearance. Okay, I'll get this tennis racket appearance. You guys can see over here this tennis racket appearance, right? Over here. Okay, these are seen in a Langerhans cells. Okay, next let us look at the CD markers. Okay, so we already know for skin we have S100. Okay, there is also CD1A. But if they will ask you what is the most specific, okay, what is the most specific with respect to your Langerhans cells? That is going to be a CD207. Most specific, okay guys, CD207. Okay, now let us move on to our next cell. That will be called as your melanocytes. It is called as your melanocytes. Okay, what is the location of a melanocyte? It is present in your stratum basale. Okay, what is the function? Melanocyte kya karega? It will give rise to melanin. Now let us move into a little biochemistry. What is the precursor, right? What is a precursor of your melanin? Okay, melanin ka precursor kya hai? That is going to be your tyrosine. Tyrosine. Okay, now there is one more confusing point, melatonin. Okay guys, remember melatonin will the precursor of melatonin will be tryptophan. Okay, how will you remember if you get confused? Now guys, see, in tryptophan O aa raha hai, right? There is an O in tryptophan, so you remember melatonin. melatonin, tryptophan. One more precursor, serotonin. Serotonin's precursor is going to be again your tryptophan. Okay, I will just write it down here. Okay, serotonin is the precursor for serotonin is also going to be your tryptophan. Okay, O. Remember guys, O. Okay, so this is how you'll remember it, right? So next, what is the content? Melanosomes. Melanosomes are going to be the content of your melanocyte. Okay, now your markers. Okay, again S100 इधर भी आ गया S100, HMB 45, and one very more important, that is going to be a melon A. That is going to be a melon A. Okay, and origin. What is the origin of a melanocyte? That is going to be your neural crust. Your neural crust. What was the origin of your Langerhans cells? That was your bone marrow. That was your bone marrow. Let us move on to the third cell. Okay, now the third cell are going to be your Merkel cells. Third cell are going to be your Merkel cells. The third cells are going to be your Merkel cells. Again, location is going to be stratum basale. So guys, we already know melanocyte and Merkel, MM, they will have your stratum basale as their location, whereas your Langerhans cells, from where do they come? They'll come from your stratum spinosum, Langerhans cells. Okay, so what is the function of a Merkel cell? They are mechanoreceptors. Mechanoreceptors as in touch, for touch. Okay, mechanoreceptors as in touch. What is the content? Your content is going to be neurosecretory granules. Your content is going to be neurosecretory granules. And what is the marker? Your marker is going to be your cytokeratin 20. Cytokeratin 20. Okay, next your origin is going to be ectodermal in origin. So these are the three non-keratinocyte cells which are present in your epidermis. Now guys, let us move on to your dermis. Okay, in your dermis you already know that in subclassifications you have that first we'll move on to your connective tissue. 70% of your dermis has connective tissues. Okay, so let us move on to the two fibers that are present there. First is your collagen, second is your elastic fibers. Okay, see guys, collagen fibers are about 70% of the fibers which are present in your dermis. How much? 70%. What does your collagen fibers help with? This is an important question, right? These will help in tensile strength. In what? Tensile strength, right? Tensile strength. And if they will ask you, what is the most common type of collagen present in your skin? Collagen 1. How will you remember? Skin is the first part, meaning you can see it superficially, right? So collagen 1. Okay. And if there is a defect in a collagen 1, what does it cause? This is ortho question. Okay, I will write over here ortho. Remember guys, osteogenesis imperfecta. Osteogenesis imperfecta. Okay, osteogenesis imperfecta. Now let us move on. So we are done with the collagen fibers. Now your elastic fibers. In your elastic fibers, what does it help with? Obviously, it will help with elasticity and recoil, right? Now let us move on. What are the ground substances present in your dermis? Guys, you remember GAG. Okay, that is your glycosaminoglycans. Okay, glycans. Okay, glycosaminoglycans. Okay, now let us look at what are the appendages. Appendages, guys, what we can see, obviously your hair, your nails, your blood vessels, your nerves, right? So remember, what are all the appendages? You have your hair, you have your nails, you have your sweat gland, okay, and your sebaceous gland, right? Sebaceous gland, your blood vessel, your nerves. Okay, so these all are the appendages. Okay, so guys, now let us look at your diascopy. Okay, so diascopy is a procedure. Okay, what happens in diascopy is I will take a glass slide. Okay, I will take a glass slide and I will put it over a lesion. That is what diascopy means. Okay, now why will I do a diascopy? There are two lesions. Okay, one is erythema and one is purpura. Okay, now I will tell you the difference. Okay, see, now if I have a patient with erythema and if I do a diascopy, I will take a glass slide, I will put it over the lesion and I will apply a little pressure on it. If the redness goes away, that means that the patient has erythema. Why is it going away? It goes away because of vasodilation. And what is this response called? It is called as a blanching response. Okay, let us write this down. So what is the procedure? Procedure is I will take a glass slide. Okay, I will take a glass slide and I will press on the lesion. I will take a glass slide and I will press on the lesion. Okay, whereas in an erythema, what I will do is I will, in a patient with erythema, when I will do the procedure, I will see that the patient, what is the response? It is called as a blanching response. It is called as a blanching response. Blanching response meaning that the redness goes away. Okay, simple words mein what it means, redness goes away. Okay, and why is this happening? This is happening due to vasodilation. This is happening due to, ET means due to. Okay, this is happening due to vasodilation. Now what happens in a patient with purpura? You guys can see, right, in this image that I have put over here, that see I put the glass slide, I'm applying a pressure on the lesion, and you can see that the redness has gone away. That means it is a blanching response. Okay, now in a patient who has purpura, I will take a glass slide, I will put it again on the lesion, but the redness will not go away. The redness will not go away, and this is called as a non-blanching response. Why does this happen? This happens due to extravasation of RBC. Why does it happen? Because of extravasation of RBC. Let us write this down as well. Purpura will give me a non-blanching. Non-blanching means that the redness does not go away. Non-blanching response. The redness does not go away. Okay, and why is this? This is due to extravasation of your RBCs, of RBC. Okay, so guys, now let us move on, okay, to the lines in dermatology. Okay, so there are two lines that we need to know in dermatology. Okay, one is our Langer lines and one is our Bloschko lines. What is the difference between the two, if you'll ask? Now see, Langer lines, let's first look at our Langer lines. Okay, what is the synonym? It is also called a skin tension line. It is also called a skin tension line. What does it correspond to? It corresponds to the orientation of our collagen fibers in the dermis. Our collagen fibers in the dermis, right? We already know 70% of our dermis is made up of our collagen fibers, right? What does it help in? It helps in tensile strength. Now, what is the importance, if you ask me? Why do I need to know about Langer lines, right? See, if surgical incision is made along the Langer lines, this will help. This will give me a better healing. This will give me a better healing, and also it will reduce my scarring. It will give me a better healing, and also it will reduce my scarring. That is why I need to know about Langer lines, right? Surgeons need to know about this to prevent scarring and better healing as well, right? Now let us move on to our Bloschko lines. Okay, our Bloschko lines. Now see, these lines, okay, they orient to the embryological lines. Okay, they orient to the embryological lines. Now see, there are different patterns. Now if I see about my upper spine, okay, so see, guys are very interested in having that V back, right? So our upper spine will give me a V-shaped pattern. It will give me a V-shaped pattern, upper spine. Okay, now abdomen, whenever you think of abdomen, you will think of stomach. So stomach means S. So you will get an S-shaped pattern in your abdomen. Now scalp. Have you ever seen a newborn baby and you see this spiral like pattern on their, on their takla, if you see, right? So you will see spiral shaped in the scalp. You will see a spiral shape on their scalp. Okay, now what is the importance of this Bloschko lines? Okay, that you will see a disease that is there. Okay, you will see a disease that is called as incontinentia pigmenti. Okay, you will see this bruising, you will see these rashes in a newborn, or during their early infancy. Okay, so, and one more question that is associated with this is, what is the pattern of inheritance? Guys, it is X-linked dominant. It is X-linked dominant. Okay, next guys, let us move on to Wood's lamp. Okay, now how many days are there in a year? 365. Okay, how will I remember this? What is the wavelength? Wavelength is going to be 364 nanometer. Okay, easy to remember. Now, what are the filters that I will be using for my wood lamp? One is going to be my barium silicate. One is going to be my barium silicate, and the other one is going to be my 9% nickel oxide. What is it going to be? 9% nickel oxide. Okay, two filters, barium silicate and 9% nickel oxide. Now what is the use of this Wood's lamp? Why am I learning about this? Because guys, it is used in fungal infections, bacterial infections, some pigmentary diseases as well. Let us look into it. Okay, now in fungal infections, if I see for Taenia captis means of the scalp, fungal infection of your scalp or your hair. Okay, so there is this organism called as Taenia schondleni. Taenia schondleni on my Wood's lamp, it will give me a dull blue. It will give me a dull blue appearance. It will give me a dull blue appearance. Okay, next, this other fungus called as Microsporium species, this will give me a green blue. It will give me a green blue appearance. Okay, whereas my pityriasis versicolor will give me a yellow color. It will give me a yellow color on Woods lamp. Okay. Now guys, this is a very important, okay, bacterial, that is your cornea bacterial infection. Okay, see, you see this image over here. What is this image? You guys are right, this is erythrasma. Very good, erythrasma. Okay, erythrasma, most commonly it is seen in diabetic patient. Where is it seen? It will be mostly seen in the folds, like your groin region, your axillary folds, right? It will be seen in your folds. Okay, so you guys can see this color. Very good, this is your coral red appearance. Okay, coral red appearance on Woods lamp. So let us write it over here. The corneal bacterial infection caused due to corneal bacterium minutissimum. Okay, sorry. Okay, so this is the organism that causes erythrasma. This is the organism that causes erythrasma. And what color will it give me? This is a PYQ, guys. Don't mess up this one. This is very basic. This will give me a coral red. Okay. And how will I remember this? Erythrasma, guys, means erythra means what? Red. Erythra means red. So red is already here. All you have to remember is coral. Coral red. Okay. Corneal bacterium minutissimum. Okay. Next, guys, pigmentary disease. In our pigmentary disease, we have apna vitiligo. Vitiligo. Okay, so vitiligo, when have you I'm pretty sure everyone has seen a patient with vitiligo. What is the color? White color, right? So this patient on Woods lamp will also give me a milky white. It will give me a milky white appearance. Okay, so guys, this is our basics in dermatology. We have completed it. If you guys have any question, please don't judgify. Ask us anything on our Telegram group or leave a comment on our YouTube channel as well. Thank you so much for your time, guys. See you in our next part. Thank you.